Did you know that around 48 million Americans get sick from foodborne illnesses every year and over 3,000 people die? And here's the part that hits home. A large number of those affected are seniors. The CDC says that as we age, our immune systems get weaker, making it much harder for our bodies to fight off infections. What's really shocking is that some of these illnesses don't come from eating out, they actually start in your own fridge. That's right. The place we count on to keep food safe can sometimes do the opposite if we're not careful. You might be storing everyday foods in the refrigerator without giving it a second thought. But some of those items, they don't belong there. In fact, keeping them cold can lower their nutritional value, cause spoilage, or worse, create harmful substances that are especially risky for older adults. And most people have no idea. One of the most common items on this list might be sitting in your fridge right now. It looks innocent, but it loses its health benefits when chilled, and in some cases, it can even turn toxic. So stick with me to the end, because the information you'll hear today could help protect your health or someone you love. If you're ready, let's jump in. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoyed this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type C to let me know how I can make better content for you. 3 foods you should never refrigerate. 1. Onions. Onions are the quiet heroes of the kitchen. They rarely take center stage, but they're behind so many of the meals that bring us comfort, connection, and warmth, especially for older adults who still find joy and meaning in home cooking. But there's something most people don't realize: putting onions in the fridge doesn't just dull their flavor and change their texture, it may also quietly work against your health. See, whole onions are built to thrive in a dry, airy place. That papery skin isn't just for show, it's part of their natural protection. But when you store them in the fridge, especially in a humid drawer or sealed container, that balance is disrupted. Moisture seeps in. The outer layers begin to soften. What was once firm and vibrant turns limp, damp, and eventually moldy. Now, for anyone, that's unappetizing. But for seniors, it can be a real health risk. Mold and bacteria love damp places. And even stored onions, especially those that have been cut, can develop harmful microbes. And if your immune system isn't as strong as it once was, your body may have a harder time fighting off those hidden invaders. But it's not just about germs. When onions begin to break down, they also start losing their nutrients. One of their most powerful compounds, quercetin, plays a major role in reducing inflammation and supporting heart health. It can ease joint pain and protect blood vessels. But that benefit begins to fade. The longer onions sit cold and damp, the very thing that could support your aging body ends up offering much less than it should. And there's also the emotional side to all of this. You expect your kitchen staples to behave the way they always have. When an onion suddenly tastes off or leaves behind a strange smell, it throws you off. That sense of familiarity, that comfort in your routine, it wavers. And for many seniors, those small breaks in trust can affect more than just the meal. They touch something deeper. Thankfully, the solution is simple. Whole onions don't belong in the fridge. Keep them in a cool, dry basket with good airflow. No bags. No damp drawers, just space to breathe. Stored right, they'll keep their crunch, their flavor, and their healing power. But as important as that is, onions are just the beginning. Because there's another pantry item, something even more common. even more beloved that often gets mishandled in the kitchen. And when it does, it doesn't just lose its benefits. It can quietly work against your metabolism, your blood vessels, and even your memory. You might want to take a closer look at how you're storing it. Let's take a look. 2. Peanut butter. For many older adults, peanut butter is more than just a food. It's comfort in a jar. A familiar taste from childhood that still finds a place at the breakfast table or on an afternoon snack. Packed with protein and healthy fats, it feels like a smart, easy choice, especially for seniors trying to maintain energy without heavy cooking. But keeping that jar in the refrigerator might be quietly undoing all those benefits. You see, when peanut butter is chilled, it changes. The natural oils solidify, the texture thickens, and what was once smooth and inviting becomes stiff and difficult to spread. At first glance, that might seem like a small inconvenience, but for someone living with arthritis, hand weakness, or limited mobility, it becomes a frustrating obstacle. Tasks that used to feel easy, like fixing a simple sandwich, can suddenly turn into a source of strain or even pain. But there's more going on beneath the lid. Peanut butter's value lies in its healthy fats, especially the monounsaturated fats that help support heart health and lower bad cholesterol. When peanut butter goes from warm to cold repeatedly, those fats begin to break down. The process of oxidation can slowly set in, turning what should be anti-inflammatory into a subtle source of harm. For seniors already managing heart or circulatory conditions, this isn't something to brush off. The cold also quietly chips away at its nutrients. Vitamin A, for example, is one of peanut butter's most valuable offerings. It's crucial for brain function, immune support, and fighting oxidative stress, something our bodies become more vulnerable to with age. But refrigeration can lead to a gradual loss of this antioxidant. You don't see it. You don't test it. But spoon by spoon, you're getting less of what your brain and body truly need. And of course, there's the emotional piece. For many older adults, the routine of preparing a familiar snack is part of daily independence. There's comfort in it, consistency, dignity. But when that comfort food hardens in the jar, turns bitter at the edges, or simply loses the pleasure it once brought, it affects more than just appetite. It affects morale. The fix is simple. Peanut butter doesn't belong in the fridge. Keep it stored in a cool, dry pantry with the lid tightly sealed, away from heat and light. It stays creamy, nutritious, and ready whenever you need a boost of comfort or strength. Your joints will thank you. So will your heart and your memory. But if even something as trusted as peanut butter can falter in the fridge, imagine what might happen to one of the most commonly stored fruits: soft, sweet, and seemingly harmless, yet deeply sensitive to cold, in ways most people never realize. You've probably got one sitting on your counter right now. Let's take a closer look. 3. Bananas. There's something quietly dependable about bananas. They're soft, naturally sweet, and gentle on the stomach. For many of us, they're a fruit we've trusted since childhood and continue to turn to well into our later years. They're simple, comforting, and packed with potassium, an important mineral that helps keep the heart and muscles working as they should. But for all their goodness, there's one common mistake that quietly strips them of their benefits, putting them in the fridge. It may seem like a harmless habit. Maybe you're trying to make them last longer, or you just like them cold. But here's what happens when a banana is placed in the refrigerator, especially one that isn't fully ripe. The peel begins to darken, sometimes turning nearly black. Most people assume it's just cosmetic. But that color change is a signal the banana is reacting to cold stress. You see, bananas are tropical by nature. They're not built for the chill of refrigeration. When exposed to cold temperatures, the enzymes responsible for ripening shut down. The banana may stop turning brown inside, but it also stops sweetening. The starches remain as they are unconverted and less digestible. The result is a fruit that looks edible, but tastes bland, mealy, or slightly bitter. It might even feel tougher or rubbery, as if something isn't quite right. But the issue goes deeper than taste or texture. Cold storage damages more than the ripening process. It diminishes the banana's nutritional value. Some of the antioxidants found in bananas, including dopamine and certain flavonoids, begin to degrade at low temperatures. These compounds aren't just nutritional extras. They're essential for seniors, helping to reduce inflammation, support mood stability, and protect brain health. The longer bananas sit in a cold environment, the more they lose the very things that make them such a smart snack for older adults. Even more concerning, overly ripe bananas stored in the fridge can start to develop moisture around the stem, creating a perfect environment for hidden mold growth. For someone with a weaker immune system, even a small amount of unseen spoilage can have consequences. And yet, this isn't just about science. It's about trust. It's about reaching for a banana, expecting nourishment, and instead finding something that no longer serves you. In our later years, when food becomes a tool for healing as much as pleasure, these little disappointments matter more than they once did. Thankfully, the solution is simple. Keep your bananas at room temperature. Let them ripen naturally in a fruit bowl, away from direct sun. If they start to turn too quickly, peel and freeze them for use in smoothies or baked goods. But whatever you do, don't let the fridge steal away what this humble fruit was meant to give you. Now, while bananas are best kept out of the cold, there are other foods that must stay chilled, because when they're not, they can become truly dangerous. Let's take a look at those next. 3 foods you must keep cold or risk dangerous health effects. 1. Dairy products. Dairy has long held a comforting place at the table. A cool glass of milk in the morning, a slice of cheddar with an afternoon snack, or a bit of yogurt to settle the stomach. These are small moments tied to memory, familiarity, and routine. For older adults, especially, these habits often go back decades. But beneath that creamy texture and nourishing taste lies a crucial reality. Dairy products demand cold storage, and the consequences of neglecting that can be far more serious than most realize. Milk, cheese, yogurt. These foods are rich in the very nutrients seniors need most. Calcium to protect aging bones, vitamin B12 for nerve, health, and energy, and healthy fats that support the brain. But ironically, it's this richness that also makes dairy a magnet for bacterial growth when it's not properly refrigerated. As we age, our ability to fight off these invisible threats weakens. The stomach lining becomes less acidic. The immune system slows, and what once might have caused nothing more than a mild stomachache can now lead to dangerous illness. Even leaving dairy out for a short time, an hour or two on the counter, can trigger unseen changes. Harmful bacteria begin to grow. The food may still look normal, even taste okay, but the danger is already there. For seniors already living with conditions like high blood pressure, arthritis, or sensitive digestion, contaminated dairy can tip the balance. What begins as a little discomfort can spiral into days of inflammation, fatigue, joint pain, or worse. It's not just about sour milk or moldy cheese, it's about how easily a weakened body can be overwhelmed. And often, the price is more than physical. Being sidelined by illness chips away at independence, confidence, and that precious sense of peace in daily living. Thankfully, this is one area where a little care goes a long way. Always return dairy to the fridge promptly. Make sure the temperature stays below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep containers tightly sealed and respect expiration dates. These aren't just rules, they're safeguards. Because as we grow older, recovery takes longer. And what used to be a simple stomach bug can become something far more serious. But food safety isn't just about milk and cheese. There's another category of food, one that many seniors eat daily that becomes even riskier when cooled and then reheated without caution. It's something we tend to trust. Something that often sits in our fridge waiting for just one more meal. But if we're not careful, it may do far more harm than good. 2. Cooked meats and leftovers. There's a quiet comfort in enjoying food you've made yourself. The warmth of the plate, the familiar flavors, the satisfaction of not letting anything go to waste. For many seniors, leftovers are more than just practical. They represent independence, resourcefulness, and a way to savor a bit of yesterday's joy. But that sense of security can turn deceptive if those saved meals, especially cooked meats, aren't handled with the care they deserve. Just because something has been cooked doesn't mean it's safe indefinitely. In fact, once meat begins to cool on the countertop, it becomes fertile ground for bacteria. Organisms like Listeria, Salmonella, and Clostridium perfringens can multiply rapidly, particularly in room temperature conditions. And unlike spoiled food that smells or looks off, contaminated leftovers often seem perfectly fine until the damage is already done. Older adults face an even greater risk. With age, the immune system becomes less responsive. Digestion slows, and the body has a harder time bouncing back from bacterial infections. What might be a brief inconvenience for a younger person can quickly turn into a serious illness for a senior, bringing with it dehydration, confusion, and even hospitalization. It takes only 2 hours for cooked meat left out to become a hazard. And by then, there's no visible sign of danger. The symptoms can be subtle. A vague sense of fatigue, a light fever, or a dizzy spell that's easy to dismiss as part of aging. But these may be signs that bacteria are already at work, triggering inflammation or straining organs like the kidneys and heart. Left unchecked, something as ordinary as a forgotten chicken breast could set off a chain reaction the body struggles to recover from. But it's not about fear, it's about wisdom. Taking just a few simple steps can keep you safe without giving up the joy of leftovers. Once you finish your meal, transfer anything uneaten into a sealed container and place it in the fridge as soon as possible. Label it with the date and try to enjoy it within 3 to 4 days. After that point, even if the food still smells or looks okay, it's safer to let it go. Peace of mind is worth far more than one more meal. These small precautions matter. They protect your independence, your energy, and your ability to enjoy food without fear. But meat and casseroles aren't the only foods that can shift from nourishing to harmful without warning. There's another everyday staple in most fridges: bright, crisp, and considered healthy that quietly begins to lose its value and safety far faster than many realize. Its appearance doesn't always give it away, but what's happening inside might surprise you. 3. Leafy greens. Leafy greens may seem delicate, but don't let their gentle appearance fool you. For older adults, these umbel leaves pack a serious nutritional punch. Whether it's a handful of baby spinach tossed into your eggs, a fresh midday salad, or a side of sautéed Swiss chard at dinner, these greens are quietly doing heavy lifting for your brain. Bonus. And circulation. They're natural allies in protecting mood, vision, and long-term health. But their benefits come with one condition. They must be treated with care, especially when it comes to temperature. The moment these greens are picked, their journey to breakdown begins. Unlike sturdier vegetables like carrots or squash, leafy greens are incredibly sensitive to their environment. Cool temperatures aren't just ideal for storage, they're essential. Without proper refrigeration, the leaves begin to soften and wilt. And along with that, change in texture comes a significant decline in nutrients. Key vitamins like K and folate, along with eye-supporting compounds like lutein, to begin to degrade quickly in warm or poorly sealed spaces. The concern goes beyond lost nutrition. As the leaves retain moisture and lose their firmness, they create the perfect setting for bacteria to thrive. It doesn't take much, just a few hours on the counter or in a produce drawer that's too humid for pathogens like E. coli or Listeria to gain a foothold. And while spoiled greens might show a little wilting or browning, they often don't look alarming until it's too late. That salad you thought was safe could be carrying a risk that your immune system, especially in your later years, might not be equipped to fight. The impact can show up in unexpected ways: digestive issues that linger, unexplained fatigue, joint flare-ups, or an illness that takes far longer to recover from than it once did. All because a bag of greens wasn't kept quite cold enough, or moisture wasn't properly controlled. It's not just a wilted lunch, it's a missed opportunity to strengthen the very systems that keep you independent, mobile, and mentally clear. The good news is, storing greens the right way doesn't take much effort, just a little intention. Keep them in the fridge's crisper drawer, wrapped lightly in paper towels to draw out moisture, and stored in containers that allow a bit of airflow. This simple step preserves their texture and their power. So now, with everything we've explored about what needs chilling and what doesn't, it's worth asking how many of our kitchen habits are helping us thrive, and how many are holding us back without us even knowing it. Because every item we store, whether right or wrong, is more than a food decision. It's a decision about how we age. Your fridge, your health. Make it work for you. Today's message is simple, but powerful. Not everything in your kitchen belongs in the fridge. Some foods lose their value when kept cold. Others turn unsafe. And a few can even harm your body without you realizing it. These aren't just harmless storage habits. For older adults, each small choice in the kitchen can shape how we feel, how we move, and how well we live. At first glance, something like keeping onions in a basket instead of the fridge or leaving bananas on the counter might not seem like a big deal. But over time, these little shifts can support your digestion, keep inflammation down, and help your medications do their job more effectively. That's not just about convenience, it's about living with greater ease and strength. As we get older, our bodies don't always shout when something's wrong. They whisper, a bit of bloating, tiredness, that lingers, Trouble sleeping. These quiet signs are often connected to what we eat and how we treat our food before it reaches the plate. And one of the biggest culprits, misusing the refrigerator. Now, let me be clear. The fridge isn't your enemy. It's a tool. But like any tool, it has to be used wisely. Understanding which foods need cold to stay safe and which ones suffer in that cold can make all the difference. This isn't about fear. It's about learning how to care for yourself in ways that really matter. You don't need a high-tech kitchen or fancy labels to protect your health. Just a bit of awareness and a willingness to adjust. So here's a gentle challenge. Take one day this week to look through your fridge and pantry. Move the bananas out. Keep the dairy cold. Make sure your leftovers are labeled. If you're not sure whether something belongs in the fridge, take a moment to look it up or ask someone you trust. And while you're at it, jot down a short list of foods that should stay out of the refrigerator. Tape it to the fridge door. Something visible and simple. A reminder that supports your health every time you reach for a meal. These small acts create peace of mind and, over time, real improvements in how you feel. Better still, share what you've learned. Pass it along to a neighbor, a family member, or even a caregiver. A small conversation can go a long way. Someone you love may be struggling with low energy, joint pain, or digestive issues. Without realizing their fridge habits could be part of the problem. We've all made mistakes in the kitchen. I certainly have. But there's no shame in learning, in changing, or in choosing better for yourself. Starting today, every small decision adds up. Every time you honor your body's needs. If you take one more step toward greater vitality, if this message has helped you, I hope you'll share it with someone who might need it too. You never know how far a simple piece of advice can go. And if you're still here with me, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let me know one thing you plan to change in your own kitchen. Let's encourage each other as we grow. Thank you for spending your time with me. Take care of your food. Take care of yourself, and remember, it's never too late to make a change that truly supports your life.